I want you to imagine something for a moment. What if I told you that there are three simple exercises, safe, proven, and surgeon approved, that can do more for your strength, balance, joints, and longevity than walking ever could, especially if you're over 65? And what if I told you that you can start them today, right where you are, without fancy equipment or a gym membership? This matters because after 65, your body doesn't respond to exercise the same way it used to, and choosing the wrong kind can quietly speed up weakness, falls, and joint pain instead of preventing them. Before I go any further, I want to ask you something, and I really want you to think about it. What is your biggest concern about staying active right now? Pain, balance, fear of falling, low energy, or not knowing what's actually safe anymore? Go ahead and tell me in the comments. I read them, and it helps me guide you better. Now, let me be very clear right from the start. I'm not here to say that walking is bad, walking is fine, walking is familiar, walking is easy to understand. But after 65, walking alone is no longer enough, and in some cases, it's not even the most effective choice. As a surgeon who has seen thousands of aging joints, replaced hips and knees, and treated injuries from falls that could have been prevented, I can tell you this with absolute confidence. The goal after 65 is not just movement. The goal is strength, balance, stability, and control. Walking mainly moves you forward. It doesn't challenge your balance in a meaningful way. It doesn't rebuild muscle fast enough. And it does very little to protect you from the number one threat to independence after 65, falls. I've sat across from patients who walked every single day and still lost the ability to get up from a chair, still fell in the bathroom, still fractured a hip. Not because they were lazy, but because no one ever taught them what their body truly needed at this stage of life. So today, I'm going to walk you through three exercises that consistently outperform walking when it comes to preserving independence, protecting joints, and keeping you strong and confident as you age. These are exercises I recommend to my own patients, to my own family members, and yes, that I do myself. And throughout this video, I want you to listen to your body, move at your own pace, and always remember that if you have medical conditions or recent surgeries, it's smart to talk with your healthcare provider before starting anything new. Let's start with the first exercise, and this one is non-negotiable if you want to stay independent. The first exercise is the sit to stand. This may look simple, but don't underestimate it. Getting up from a chair is one of the most important movements you perform every single day. Toilets, cars, beds, chairs. If you lose this ability, everything else in life becomes harder. I've seen patients who could walk a mile but still needed help standing up. That's a red flag. When you perform a sit to stand, you are training your thighs, hips, glutes, and core all at once. These are the exact muscles that prevent falls and protect your knees and hips. Walking barely challenges these muscles. Sit to stands force them to work. Here's how I want you to think about it. You sit on a sturdy chair. Your feet are flat on the floor. You lean slightly forward, engage your core, and stand up without using your hands if you can. Then you slowly sit back down. Slow is important. Slow builds strength. Rushing builds momentum, not muscle. If you need to use your hands at first, that's okay. This is not about pride, this is about progress. Over time, as you get stronger, you rely on your hands less. That's how you know it's working. I've watched patients in their 70s and 80s regain this strength in a matter of weeks. And when they do, something powerful happens. Their confidence comes back. They stop fearing chairs, toilets, and stairs. That confidence alone reduces fall risk dramatically. Aim for sets of 5 to 10 repetitions. Rest when you need to. This is not cardio. This is strength. Walking can't replace this. It simply can't. Now let's move to the second exercise, and this one may surprise you. The second exercise is single leg balance. If you're over 65, balance is your lifeline. Most falls don't happen because someone was weak. They happen because someone lost balance for just 1 second. One uneven surface, one quick turn, one moment of distraction. Walking does almost nothing to improve balance. In fact, it can give you a false sense of security. Balance must be trained deliberately. Single leg balance does exactly that. You stand near a counter or chair for safety. You gently lift one foot off the ground and balance on the other. That's it. Simple, powerful, life-changing. When you do this, your brain, nerves, ankles, hips, and core all communicate in real time. This is called neuromuscular control, and it declines rapidly with age unless you train it. The good news is that it responds incredibly well to practice, even later in life. Start with 10 seconds. That's enough. If you wobble, that's normal. Wobbling means your nervous system is learning. Switch sides. Over time, work your way up to 20 or 30 seconds. If that feels easy, you can gently turn your head side to side or close your eyes, but only if you're safe and supported. I can't tell you how many injuries I've seen that could have been prevented with better balance training. Hip fractures, wrist fractures, head injuries. Balance is not optional after 65. It is essential. Now let's talk about the third exercise, and this one is especially important for your joints. The third exercise is controlled step backs. Most people think forward motion is what matters, but backward movement is where control lives. When you step backward slowly and deliberately, you load your hips and knees in a way that strengthens them without the pounding that comes from walking long distances. Here's how it works. You stand tall, holding onto a counter if needed. You step one foot backward into a gentle lunge position, keeping your torso upright. Then you return to standing, slow and controlled. Then you switch sides. This strengthens your quadriceps, glutes, and stabilizing muscles around the knee. These muscles act like shock absorbers for your joints. The stronger they are, the less stress your joints experience during daily life. I've seen people with knee pain who couldn't walk comfortably for more than 10 minutes suddenly tolerate much more activity after mastering this movement. Not because their joints magically healed, but because their muscles finally started doing their job. And that's the key idea I want you to remember today. Joints don't fail on their own. They fail when the muscles around them stop supporting them. Now, you might be wondering how often you should do these exercises. Here's what I typically recommend. 2 to 4 times per week is enough to see real benefits. You don't need to do them every day. In fact, your body needs recovery to rebuild strength. Walking every day without strength training often leads to overuse without progress. You can still walk if you enjoy it. I'm not taking that away from you. But walking should be the extra, not the foundation. These 3 exercises are the foundation. I also want to talk to you honestly about fear. Many people over 65 avoid strength and balance exercises because they're afraid of getting hurt. I understand that fear. I've treated the injuries, but avoidance is what actually increases risk. Weak muscles and poor balance are far more dangerous than controlled, intentional movement. Start small. Be patient with yourself. Progress is not linear, and that's okay. What matters is consistency, not perfection. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Aging does not mean giving up strength. It means training smarter. Your body is still incredibly adaptable. I've seen it again and again in my patients, 75, 80, even 90 years old. The human body responds to the right stimulus at almost any age. And you deserve to feel strong. You deserve to feel steady on your feet. You deserve to live without constant fear of falling or losing independence. If this video helped you, I encourage you to try just one of these exercises today. Not all 3, just one. Build the habit. Let your confidence grow. And again, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these feels like the biggest challenge for you right now? Standing up from a chair, balance, or joint strength? Tell me in the comments. You're not alone in this, and your question might help someone else watching too. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of your body. It's carried you a long way, and with the right care, it can carry you much further. Now, before we finish, there's something important I want to address, because I know many of you are thinking it, even if you haven't said it out loud. You might be wondering, isn't it too late for me? Or, I haven't exercised in years. Won't this be dangerous? I hear those concerns all the time, and I want to speak to them honestly and calmly. It is not too late. I've worked with people who hadn't exercised in decades, people who were convinced their bodies were too far gone. And what I've learned again and again is that the body doesn't care how long it's been neglected. It cares what you start doing today. Muscle responds to use, balance responds to practice, confidence responds to small wins. None of that disappears just because of a number on a birthday cake. That said, this is not about pushing through pain or forcing your body to do something it's not ready for. Pain is information. Sharp pain, dizziness, chest discomfort. Those are signals to stop and talk with a healthcare professional. Mild muscle fatigue, slight shaking, feeling challenged but in control, that's normal. That's how strength is built safely. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people over 65 trying to exercise the way they did at 40. Long walks, fast pace, repetitive motion, day after day. The body changes, recovery slows, joints become less forgiving. What worked before may no longer be the smartest choice now, and that's not a failure. That's adaptation. These three exercises respect how the aging body actually works. They build what walking doesn't: the ability to control your body in space, to catch yourself if you stumble, to rise from the ground if you have to, and to protect your joints through strength rather than wear and tear. I also want to touch on something emotional, because physical health and emotional health are deeply connected, especially later in life. Losing strength can quietly erode your confidence. You stop doing things you love, not because you don't want to, but because you're afraid. Afraid of falling, afraid of being a burden, afraid of getting hurt and not bouncing back. I've seen that fear steal joy from people long before their bodies truly failed them. And I've also seen that fear loosen its grip when strength and balance return. Not overnight, but gradually, steadily, and powerfully. When you practice standing up from a chair without using your hands, you're not just training muscles, you're reminding your brain that you are capable. When you balance on one leg, even for a few seconds, you're proving to yourself that you still have control. When you step back with intention and stability, you're teaching your joints that they are supported, not fragile. That mindset shift is just as important as the physical changes. Now, let me give you a simple way to put this all together so it doesn't feel overwhelming. Think of this as a short routine, not a workout. You might do 5 sit-to-stands, then balance on each leg for 10 seconds, then do 5 controlled step backs on each side. That's it. That might take 5 minutes. 5 minutes that can dramatically change how your body feels over time. You don't need to break a sweat. You don't need special shoes. You don't need to be sore the next day. What you need is consistency and intention. And if some days you only do one exercise, that still counts. Progress is built through showing up, not through pushing yourself to exhaustion. I also want to say this clearly because it matters. If you already enjoy walking, you don't have to stop. Walking can be good for mood, circulation, and getting outside. Just don't let it be the only thing you do. Think of walking as the bonus, not the backbone. Strength and balance are the backbone. As a surgeon, my job has often been to fix problems after they happen. But my real passion is helping people avoid needing someone like me in the first place. Most falls, many joint replacements, and a great deal of lost independence are not inevitable. They are the result of bodies that were never given the right kind of training at the right time. You are not fragile. You are adaptable. And your body is listening to what you ask of it. If you're still with me right now, that tells me something important. It tells me you care about your health. It tells me you're thinking about your future, not just living longer, but living better. And that mindset alone puts you ahead of the curve. So here's my gentle challenge to you. Today or tomorrow, choose one chair in your home and practice standing up and sitting down a few times with control. Or stand near a counter and balance on one leg for 10 seconds. Just start. Let that be your first step. And once again, I'd love to hear from you. After watching this, do you feel more confident about exercising or still unsure? Be honest in the comments. This is a community, And you might be surprised how many people feel exactly the same way you do. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your health. I don't take that lightly. Take care of yourself, move with intention, and remember, you're stronger than you think, and it's never too late to prove it to yourself. Before we close this out completely, I want to go a little deeper into something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough when it comes to exercise after 65. And that's why walking became the default in the first place. For years, people were told, just walk more. It was simple, it sounded safe, and it felt doable. And for a long time, that advice wasn't entirely wrong. But what we've learned over the last couple of decades, both in medicine and through real world experience, is that simplicity alone isn't enough anymore. Walking doesn't challenge the body in the ways that matter most for aging well. It doesn't require you to manage your center of gravity. It doesn't ask your muscles to generate meaningful force. And it doesn't teach your nervous system how to react when something unexpected happens. Life, unfortunately, is full of unexpected moments, slippery floors, uneven sidewalks, pets underfoot, sudden turns. Those moments are where injuries happen, not during a calm walk down a straight path. I've treated people who walked faithfully every morning for years and still ended up with serious injuries from a single misstep. They often look at me and say, "But I did everything right. I stayed active." And that breaks my heart because they did what they were told, but they weren't told the whole story. The whole story is that the body needs variety. It needs resistance. It needs challenge in safe, controlled doses. And it needs movements that mirror real life, not just forward motion. That's exactly what these three exercises provide. Sit to stands mirror daily living. Single leg balance prepares you for those 1 foot moments when you step over a curb or catch yourself. Controlled step backs teach your body how to decelerate, how to control motion instead of crashing into it. Another thing I want you to understand is that strength training after 65 doesn't mean bulking up or stressing your joints. That's a common misconception. Muscle strength is about function, not size. You're training your muscles to fire at the right time in the right order with the right amount of force. That coordination is what protects you. And yes, muscles do shrink with age if they're not used. That process is called sarcopenia, and it's one of the biggest contributors to frailty. But here's the encouraging part. Sarcopenia is not inevitable. It's largely driven by inactivity. When you challenge your muscles, even gently, they respond. I've seen muscle strength improve dramatically in people well into their 80s. That's not theory. That's real life. I also want to address joint pain because I know many of you are thinking, I'd love to do this, but my knees hurt, or my hips are stiff, or my back isn't what it used to be. That's understandable. Pain changes how we move. It makes us cautious. But avoiding movement altogether often makes pain worse, not better. The key is choosing movements that reduce joint stress instead of increasing it. Walking long distances can actually aggravate joint pain because of repetition and impact. Strengthening the muscles around the joint, on the other hand, often reduces pain by improving support and alignment. That's why controlled movements matter so much. Slow sit-to-stands teach your knees and hips to share the load with strong muscles. Step backs strengthen the muscles that stabilize your joints during transitions. Balance training improves joint awareness, which reduces awkward movements that can trigger pain. I'm not promising that pain will disappear overnight. That wouldn't be honest. But I can tell you that many people experience less pain, more confidence, and better mobility when they stop relying on walking alone and start building strength intentionally. Now, let me say something that might be difficult to hear, but it's important. Independence doesn't slowly fade away all at once. It's lost in small pieces. First, it's harder to get up from low chairs. Then stairs feel intimidating. Then balance feels uncertain. Then outings become shorter. Then help is needed. Each step feels small, but they add up. The good news is that independence can also be preserved in small pieces. One chair stand at a time. One balance hold at a time. One controlled step at a time. You don't have to overhaul your life. You just have to send your body a different message. And that message is, I still need you to be strong. I still need you to respond. I still expect you to support me. Your body listens. I also want to reassure you about something else. Progress after 65 doesn't look like progress at 30. It's quieter, it's steadier. It shows up as things feeling a little easier than they used to. Standing without thinking about it, catching yourself without panic, feeling less tired after daily tasks. Those are victories. Don't dismiss them. If you ever feel discouraged, remember this. Doing nothing guarantees decline. Doing something, however small, opens the door to improvement. And these exercises are about as efficient and safe as it gets. As we wrap up, I want you to take a moment and picture yourself 6 months from now. Not running marathons, not lifting heavy weights, just moving through your day with more confidence, standing up without hesitation, walking without fear, trusting your body again. That future is built on what you choose to do today. You don't need motivation every day. You need commitment to small actions. Motivation comes and goes. Habits stay. So start small, be patient, be kind to yourself. And remember that strength at this stage of life isn't about proving anything to anyone else. It's about protecting your freedom. If you found value here, stay curious about your health. Keep learning, keep moving with intention, and never assume decline is inevitable, because in many cases, it's not. Thank you for being here, thank you for listening, and thank you for taking your health seriously. Your future self will be glad you did.